What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. You're watching the Friday Weekly Market Watch. We are in December. I'm Zach Stone. How are you doing? You join us every week on Friday to talk about the Lorcana news, the meta trends, and the card prices.
First and foremost, happy Friday, all you goons out there. It is 1 month till the North American EU Continental Championships, and this weekend is the European Continental Championships. We got a picture right here live from the floor. It is the Lost Chance Qualifier AM Pod, and boy oh boy does this look packed, man. Like it is filled of Illumineers ready to play, ready to get started. And personally, we already have some pretty important news. I would say Artabax, he did announce on Twitter that he won his pod, so he gets to play in the Continentals tomorrow, and that must be an exciting feeling.
Yeah, huge shout out to Speci for this picture. Shout out to anybody who's playing the European Continentals. If you're watching, if you watch our channel, good luck to anybody playing Lorcana tournaments this weekend. And some more news if you didn't know. If you actually won a DLC, the news came out that you get to play in the World Championship of the first Disney Lorcana Challenge, the World Championship for Lorcana. That's so crazy. So winners like Zan Syed, Luke Wonderland, Joshua Paul, all these awesome people that you've seen on the channel before, by the way, they are going to represent the North America at the World Championship because they won DLCs. That's really cool, really awesome to hear about that because a lot of people were wondering, like, is the World Tournament going to be like only 16 players, but it's looking like there's going to be a bigger World Tournament than what we thought initially. So let me know what you guys think about that news. I know some people have said, oh, is this going to be the full precedent going forward? Is this going to be forever? Like anytime anybody wins a DLC, do they get a ticket to Worlds as well? Or is it just for this first World Championship because we only have Europe and North America who have access to the game? Maybe it's just for this one because they want more players. Maybe when it's a worldwide release and we have other continents, participating in Lorcana, they might not do this. But who knows? What do you guys think? Would you want to keep this as a precedent, or would you rather it just be this a one time thing for all the first DLC winners? And I know last week we mentioned that there was news about us not getting a +1 if we qualified for Continentals in North America, the same way you did in Europe. But Disney Lorcana was so gracious enough to respond to R&B's tweet, and they said North American qualified competitors will have a +1. More information will come from PPG. Really awesome to see that. And I know there were some comments down below when I uploaded the video. I didn't see this reply yet, but that's your news for this week. Let's get on into some card prices that have been going up, looking good, like some enchanted rares. Check out this Carefree Surfer Stitch, guys, going up a little bit in price, easily selling for less than $300 in the last couple of weeks. But now lowest verified is $299 by Rainbow Ultra. After that, it sticks around that $300 mark with Purple Shadow Gaming. Then it goes to $315 by Fancy Cardboard TCG. Couple sales right here that have been happening: 300, 268, 285. Not too shabby at all for the Carefree Surfer Stitch from the first chapter. It's basically around $300 again, which is pretty good. I like to see some enchanted rare movement because I feel like the enchanted rares are some pretty safe bets, when they hit some low prices. Tinkerbell, Giant Fairy, some more first chapter enchanteds going just a little bit above the price mark that I'm used to seeing. I want to say throughout the November timeframe, they were selling for like 275, 300. If we look at this recent sales data, we can see some for 288, 289. Recently, though, we see one for 300, 309, 310, 266 for a light plate, but there's 14 listings. Lowest verified is 310, and then right after that, Tier 1 Games California has the next listing at $400. So there's three listings that are on that $300 mark. The Big Head TCG, ADHV, these are non-verified sellers though. Like I said, first verified seller is 300, then it jumps to 400. Let me know if you guys have some giant Tinkerbell. Zach, what are you going to value a giant Tinkerbell at this week?
I'm not too sure if I'm going to want to match like a $300 price point. It would make sense to me if I saw like 20, 25 listings, more verified reputable sellers selling around that price. I don't think I'd want 400 though. Somewhere in the middle. I don't have an exact number, but another thing to mention too about the Lilo and Stitch movie is it's coming out soon. The new live action. So there might be a reason for that Carefree Surfer Enchanted going up in price, and Baymax. Boy, oh boy, what a inflation of a price, no pun intended, here on this card. It is settled at around like the $200 mark. I think we saw it as high as like 250, and I think it has even a record sale of $275. Remember, guys, there is hype behind a lot of this stuff, and it's very important to kind of keep up with what's being played, what the meta is, because that really affects like how much these enchanted spike. I know Tinkerbell saw a lot of play during the Vegas DLC format with the green steel deck playing multiple copies, but it's not seeing too much play outside of mid-range amethyst steel decks now. It's completely out of the green steel. Baymax isn't in any competitive deck that I've seen so far as of yet, but you never know when things can change, and that is important to remember in any TCGs.
This card is competitive though. We have, and then along came Zeus, still trending upward this week, Zach, from like 120 to almost $200 now. Actually, almost 250, depending on who you buy it from. If you go through a non-verified seller like QWERTY Card right here or RU Game, you can get it for 200 with a little bit extra shipping. But the lowest verified is going to be Blizzard TCG for 250. Then SYGO has it for 299 with $5 shipping, and that's it. There's only 4 listings of along came Zeus available on TCG Player, and everybody who got him for less than $200 feels like I imagine you feel very grateful, very lucky to get it for this cheap right now. 165, 169, 175 are the recent sales that happened on December 3rd, and now you have to pay at least 200, maybe 250, maybe even 300, depending on where you find it from. Wow, some enchanted rares. I like to see the enchanted rares go up. It's really cool. Obviously, that's what we're all trying to chase after when pulling, when trying to crack some of these packs from these booster boxes, right? But I'm personally also trying to chase some good staples from the first chapter, some good legendaries like Rapunzel gifted with healing, going to be settling still at around $40 to $45. Love to see it. They did hit as low as $40 mid-November, and now we're headed towards middle December, and you can find it for as low as $44.48 by the game capital, shipping included. They have 2 of them ready for you right there, and some non-verified sellers with a very close price right there. Cold fills, they're usually around $65, $70. Yep, look at that. It's going to be $64.96 with $2 shipping by Hyper Collectible. Nick Jr.'s card shop right here. They have 4 of them for $66.88 shipping included. If you want to get a deal, maybe from a non-verified seller, it feels like Amber decks need to play Rapunzel. Like no matter what kind of like Amber deck you're playing, whether it be like Ruby Amber or Emerald Amber or Amber Steel, you're playing Rapunzel, right?
I would like to say yes. There is some cool lines I've seen with Amethyst Amber where you can go just in time your Elsa 5 cost on turn 3, challenge and beat something down and heal it up on turn 4 with Rapunzel. That's a nice combo, but remember there is the alternative art promo non-foils that you can get if you're trying to semi-max out, and if you're really a really big baller, get the DLC challenge promos that are foil. Those are very expensive. But yeah, just as like a bare minimum barrier of entry, $45. This card has seen maybe the lowest price is around $30, right? And I think it's a healthy card to also the gift sets with the first chapter releases recently didn't knock down too many of the prices. And same thing with this card, even though this is from Azurite Sea, Maui Half Shark, prices haven't really been coming down for this one in a while. And I do want to shout out those that met the bounty and fulfilled it. So shout outs to you, Lorcana Stan, Off-White J1, aka Ralphie, and Mark. You guys are amazing people. Thank you for coming by and hooking me up with some of your awesome inventory. But yes, this card is seeing tons of play in red blue. We're seeing it completely shift the way people deck build, right? I think the Lucky Dimeless builds focus more on the Maui Shark strategy with a bunch of copies of like Develop Your Brain, Visions to the Future, and cheap actions that you can kind of just play over and over and over again. The ability to give it rush with the Vitalosphere, I think is really cool too, because on play, a lot of people aren't going to expect you to challenge this with this card when you play it. And it even can work in some Amethyst strategies alongside with the Peter Pan Shadow Finder. So this card, I think, is still making waves, coming in, splashing around like a shark would. However, make sure you're not caught in the water with this one, because this card could go down.
Pretty good card. I've honestly been really appreciating it. And if you guys watched the 2 boxes that we opened on stream a couple days ago, you'll know that I didn't pull a single Maui Shark. And I've opened, I don't know how many boxes I've opened from Azurite Sea, not too many. I want to say maybe like a case at most with like 2 troves. I haven't pulled a single Maui Shark, dude. This card is taunting me. This card is so hard to pull. And lately I've been playtesting it in Ruby Amethyst as a 4 of it. It's a really good card. In Ruby Amethyst I've been playing it with Pinocchio or Lose the Way, or even just Elsa, you know, obviously just to exert an opposing character. And even doing it that way is still really good. You get a lot of value that way, being able to grab back up, be prepared. But lowest verified is going to be by Smashers Cards today for $35 with shipping included. So Maui Shark, A $35 legendary from the Azurite C set. Probably, actually, 100% confirmed the best legendary from the Azurite C set. These cold foils last week, Zach, when we saw them, there was only like two listings at $100 each. I don't. We did see somebody. Yeah, we did see somebody actually buy them for $100. So there was one sale for $99. I remember last weekend. Since then, they've been selling for a lot less cheap, a lot less, way cheaper. We have some for 65 being sold, 60. Then it came to 55, 57, 59, and now back up to 60 though. Most recent comps are 60, 61, and 63 for our cold foil Maui half sharks. Pretty good card. I'm really liking the way it's been playing out in all the decks that I tried in. Actually, it's about like playing a shark, and then once they remove your shark, you play another shark and another shark. It's just playing multiples back to back. It's just so much pressure. Oswald Lucky Rabbit, we pulled this in our one of our boxes on stream. If you guys want to go watch the video, 1154 is the lowest verified for a non-foil Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, and your cold foil Oswalds are going to be less than $20. 1774 shipping included by trading collectible. Remember, there's a highest rarity for this card as well. It's the D23 Oswald, which is still selling for around $80 to $90. Another awesome legendary that's still seeing a lot of relevant meta play right now is going to be Sisu, the Empowered sibling, selling for as low as 1649 by Serotonin Needed. Pretty cool to see this card being played in red blue decks, and a lot of people playing it in ruby amethyst decks as well. Amber Steel, Emerald Steel, Amethyst Steel, all these decks we were talking about earlier, they tend to play a lot of characters that have 2 strength or less, especially Emerald decks. So sometimes you want to be able to shift Sisu, the empowered, the emboldened warrior, actually, which is pretty impactful, right? And the Sisu quest for 3. So if you're playing it in your Ruby Sapphire deck, this is a great lucky dime target. Definitely don't let the Sisu stay last long on the board, right? $21.75 is going to be the lowest verified cold foil by One Stop Shop NY. If you want a cold foil Sisu, which is only about $4 to $5 more than the non-foil, and I think that's pretty good. Especially if there's an enchanted rare version of this card, so maybe you want that's the highest rarity if you want to play the highest rarity. But if you want something just shiny, that's a pretty good price for a shiny if you're already paying almost $17 for the non-foil. Am I right? Diablo, Devoted Herald, still selling for around $25. Nice to see these were selling for around 30 to 35 at one point when Emerald Steel was like the dominating deck of the format. And right now, there's a lot of different decks you can play. Diablo's still a menace out there. Don't get me wrong. I think it's still a very good card, but there's a lot of other ways to stop it now. $25, lowest verified, shipping included by Geeked Out. Love to see it. Cold Foil Diablos, $51, 34.51, lowest verified by Serotonin Needed. These came down. These were in the 40s for sure, and throughout November. And look at this, just came crashing down pretty quickly. So if you want to get them for at least $5 cheaper than they were all of last month, right now is a good price. $35 for a Cold Foil Diablo. The non-foils were this price at one point, right?
Well, I can remember there was a cold foil Diablo sitting around $80 in the very, very beginning of Ursula's Return. However, this card is nosedive straight down into the $30 to $35 cold foil range. This card probably won't see a lot of play like it used to, but I still think this card's very good and very underrated. There might be some different strategies or some ways to build your green steel decks to get more use out of this. And we have that one drop Amethyst Diablo, and we're not seeing too many Emerald Amethyst decks piloting the shift one, but we might see that change depending on how well the meta shapes up to be. Simba Pride Protector is a card that, when it was first announced during the Azurite C releases, that everyone in my group, Kevin included, thought that this card would make waves and be one of the best cards to come out of the set, but we're not really seeing that right now. And it's a $15 price point. It's kind of more reflecting of that. We noticed that the trends in the meta aren't really favoring this card in like Amber Steel decks. We saw Frank Karsten's list in the top 8 of the EU decks. He plays this with the 1 cost and one of the 2 cost Simbas. So it still has room to be explored, and I do like its ability, but there seems to be some sort of misunderstanding with this card in multiples with rulings. Just to remember, guys, this card only will ready your exerted characters, and it only works when it is exerted, meaning if one Simba readies the other one, that Simba doesn't ready anything else.
Yes, very important to understand how the bag works. Both go into the bag, one comes out, and then now they're ready. The other one doesn't have the ability to resolve anymore. Pretty great card though, regardless. Honestly, I still think this is a really good card though, Zach. I think it's just a card that is unexplored. I really do think that Frank Karsten did something like really good with his deck that he was using for the Cross Continental Challenge, and I'm really looking forward to see how many how many Simbas we see in Top Cut, or even just make it past the LCQ. Because we're gonna start seeing a lot of continental news after this weekend, and that's gonna make a big difference, I think, in these prices too. So I'm not counting Simba the Pride Protector out necessarily. Cold foils are going to be 27.50 by Prestwick Cards, lowest verified. Less than $30 if you want to get a cold foil Simba instead. Baymax Armored Companion. I'm surprised this card's still this much, bro. I thought this was gonna be like a $5 card, like Genie or whatever, but it's actually a decent pull, right? $11.15 random encounter games is the lowest verified if you want one today online, and your cold foil Baymaxes, they're going to be $22. 21.97 end core collectibles. That's not bad for a cold foil legendary that I don't really see people play too much. There's only 15 listings, and they stick around this $22 to $25 range as you go down this first page. Tiana, the restaurant owner. See, I feel like more people play Tiana than they do Baymax. And this is even cheaper. Lowest verified is $7.91 right now, pretty cheap, around $8 for any hyper aggro players or just any aggro players who want to stop your opponent from challenging. I know a lot of kids at locals love to play the hyper aggro decks, so maybe adding Tiana to their hyper aggro, adding a princess to that deck might be pretty cool for some of the kids out there. 14.42 trading collectible is lowest verified for the cold foil, $14, and this has an enchanted rare as well. A lot of legendaries got enchanted rares this set, right? That's interesting.
Yeah, I think we saw a handful of them, like the Yzma and the Wreck-It Ralph Ham Hands. But some of the ones that I think caught me off guard was like, the You Came Back, that's a rare. We Could Be Immortals, that's a rare. The Daisy Duck, that's a super. But I'm very certain that they kind of do this because they want to give representation to certain characters. They understand that some of these characters and the collectors that collect these enchanted cards have more attachment and meaning to the character itself rather than the playability aspect. But this card still is decent to play with. And speaking of enchanted rare legendaries, this Yzma is a $5 card, and it's sad to say this because this card is very good. I thought this effect would actually be explored a lot more. Keep in mind that it is a villain and a sorcerer, and we have an action in the newest set that allows you to play a card, and it's reduced cost for every sorcerer you have in play. So keep in mind that there's still a lot of unexplored strategies in this game. If you wanted to go ahead and full send and get yourself 35 copies of this card, you can go ahead and shop with Gamer's Choice Shop. They have the most amount of available for you. However, it's a little bit less than that if you're going to shop with other sellers, but you're not able to get the same amount as you would from one go. Kevin, what are your thoughts on this card?
Well, I like that Gamer's Choice gives me the ability to get a playset just from one seller. Thank you very much, Gamer's Choice. I really appreciate that. I don't know if I'll need what is that, like 8 playsets right now, but it's a good card. I could need 8 playsets. You never know. There's a variety of ways to play this card. I like it a lot. The card says draw 3. The other day I was playing with this card in a variety of different colors, and when it would resolve, I think, whoa, this is like playing Finders Keepers with a body, But you do have to like just get rid of your entire hand. I think in my experience of testing, I think the best deck that can play this card is probably Steel, because Steel has a lot of low cost removal cards, like Fire the Cannons, Twin Fire, things like that. There was some cool interactions I saw with Blurple where I was able to go like Tipo, ink an extra card from my hand, ramp into Yzma. So and then next turn, if you have more ramp, you just dump your hand and draw 3. But Blurple's Blurple, it's not my favorite deck. Yeah, and there's a couple of ways to play this in like green, purple, ruby, amethyst. I think though that this card not only already sees like decent play in the meta because I've seen people play it. Like you said, it just needs to be explored. It's a pretty cool card though. I like what it does. I don't know how I feel about buying 35 of them, but I do want a play set for myself because I want to keep exploring it. Cold foils are pretty cheap still, 12, 13 with shipping included by Hidden Block Games, so around $12. And like you said, it has an enchanted rare too. The enchanted rares are less than $100 and they're like $70, $80 as we saw. Maleficent Monsters Dragon is a legendary I want to go over because, man, look at this, Zach. I haven't seen this. I don't think I've ever seen this card this cheap, personally, since the beginning of Lorcana. $19 shipping included, less than $20 shipping included already. And then there's a bunch of non-verified sellers per usual that have it for $17, $18. Really cool to see. This card is very strong, and I think it's going to be a relevant like legendary in Ruby Sapphire or just a Ruby decks in general. There's times where I still want to play this in Ruby Amethyst just because I know the card just it pops one. Like it's a really good card, right? Cold foils are still expensive though. Yeah, if you paid $90 to $100 in November, maybe you're a little like sad because the lowest verified is 85 with $5 shipping. But it's not too big of a deal because they're still sitting around. It's like a $10 loss, right? Way that's a way better I think compared to if you bought non foils for around $30 to $40 and now they're $18 to $20, right? But Maleficent Monsters Dragon, an awesome card. Genie Wish Fulfilled. This is like one of the kings of the sets. A now basically a $15 rare. Lowest verified is New Campana for $14.39 with shipping included, and they stick around that price for your non-foil Genie Wish Fulfilled. Pretty cool to see. We haven't seen like a rare this expensive since I guess Daisy Duck. Daisy Duck was this expensive. Oh, it was a super rare actually. Wow, that was a super rare. Yeah, I don't remember the last time we saw a rare this expensive. Cold foil genies are sitting at a pretty wow. A wonderful price of $35.50. Cards again, gifts is our lowest verified. Zach, what do you think of the genie hype, the genie situation?
The genie is not so weenie, in my opinion. This card is a very powerful, powerful card. We're seeing it being played in two, three, even four copies in a lot of Amethyst strategies. And it is a powerhouse. I think it's important to also mention that this is like the second most expensive card you can pull from Azurite Sea, with being under Maui Half Shark. So a rare feels better to grab than most other legendaries you can find in this set, which is kind of speaks volumes. This card could have just been a legendary card, unlike the shift counterpart, and it would have done way better for a fact. But I think that this card is not hype. I think that this card is strong. We did kind of mention that in the beginning when this card was first announced, that maybe Rabbit might see, less play with this card coming around. And that's not always true. We still see Rabbit kind of bouncing around every once in a while. But this Genie, by far, is a beast. I love it. I'm a big fan. And a $35 cold foil price tag, it's expensive. I can understand if people are a little indifferent of picking any of these copies up right now. That is a high price point for something that you might do better off not getting it for a collection. But if you need to foil your decks for these strategies, if you are looking to make these purchases so you have them in time for the North American Continentals, make sure you order these within the next week or two, because there is some time that it takes to get to your place, and you would hate to not have it when you need it and need it to not have it.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna go down anytime soon either. Like, you hit the nail on the head. Like, if you're playing Amethyst, you have to play this card. And then you and it's crazy to me because I am still of the belief that Merlin Rabbit is one of the best cards in the game in all of Lorcana. I think the card is just insanely good. But the fact that like there's a card now that's even me, I've had to cut out some rabbits in my deck to play 4 copies of this card in Ruby because it's that important in the meta. There's just so many cards. There's so many cards that Genie stops, and then there's not enough cards in the metagame that stop Genie. So it's pretty crazy, dude. Like I really like it. Like it feels like Minnie Mouse Surfer again, where you're playing a Genie format, and if you're like a Ruby Am mirror, or if you're an Amethyst mirror, and I have more genies than you, you're not stopping my genies. I'm gonna get to 20 way faster. It's such a crazy card. Just not to over exaggerate it, but it's a very good card. Calhoun the Goon, another amazing rare from this set, selling for around $8, $6.29 with $2 shipping today by the Boardroom for your Calhoun the Goons. Cold foils are going to be almost $20. Wow, also shooting up in price. The rares in this set, love to see it. Chef's kiss. Wow, the rares in this set are pretty awesome. Almost $20, 17, 24 games for Meeple. LLC. Calhoun being used in like, a lot of steel strategies, obviously, just to be able to contest aggro decks. It has resists, so your opponent has to have a 3 strength character at least to clear this in one shot. Stops your opponent from questing pretty much. It's very annoying. Me as an Amethyst player, I can't quest with my brooms and my Chernobyls like I used to. Like I have to get rid of them immediately, So 1 drops beware. Calhoun is disrespectful. Lilo the Escape Artist. These are selling for around $6 today. 574 hidden block games. That's about $1 less than it was last week. We were seeing this at like $7 to $8. Now they're about $6. Cold foils 1521. Underdog collectibles. Lilo's really good. I just think that lately I've been thinking maybe you don't need to play 4 Lilo in all your Amber decks, right? Maybe you play like 3 or something because you need it to reoccur one time. What do you think, Zach?
So this card is a card in my testing experiences that just gets put face down against anything that's not a Ruby deck. I can't seem to stick this card into aggro or mid range strategies because there's constantly threats to deal with. But against the Ruby strategies, you are always asking questions that need to have answers to. But it kind of feels like you need to get lucky every time when they need to get lucky once. But Lilo honestly saves the day there in that matchup. So I still like this card in the Amber Steel decks that I'm trying out, but I don't have four. And I'll tell you that straight off the bat. I do not have 4 copies of this card. I don't think you need 4 copies of this card, but it's very important to recognize its stats, its ability to be an aggressive card when you need it. And speaking of aggressive cards, Daisy Duck, I think, is one of the most important cards in Amber Steel as of right now. We haven't seen a lot of Daisy Duck being played in other Amber decks. I think what's starting to make more sense is that when Green Purple started to see its rise, that it had no action, songs, items, anything that wasn't a character in its deck. So it's just generating free card advantage, and you don't always want to see this card in that matchup. But when you play Amber Steel and you have a card like a whole new world, it doesn't matter how many characters you give them off Daisy Duck. They're going in the discard pile and they're getting 7 new cards. And again, it's still a hard card to deal with. I think that with the Amber strategy being able to go, singer tempo versus the aggro points, I like the flexibility it has, and it's definitely feeling like a nice choice to be played for this North American Continentals coming up next month. But the prices are 585, same prices as close to around what the Lilo's going for, and I think cold foils are around 17, maybe $18. So that's a good reflection, right? That's a very good point to see. No, actually, unfortunately, they're at $14. Correct me, guys, but this card is a little bit cheaper for its cold foil version, and I think it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It has 4 willpower, so being able to heal it up off Rapunzel, I think stands out. Kevin, how many Daisy Ducks have been in front of your way that has scared you down?
It's a really good card, man. Like the opening up Daisy or double Daisy, like you just can't do anything sometimes. That's the thing about Amber Steel is that it's not even like an aggro deck. It's not an aggressive deck. You can just play it in that deck, like you were saying. Be Prepared is a card I want to go over before we call it a day. It's an awesome card from the first chapter. It's the only board wipe that it really exists in Lorcana. Banish all characters. Love to see it selling for $8 today. $7.49 with $1.27 shipping for your Be Prepared. They're kind of sticking around this $8 mark. They used to be more than 10 at one point. But I'm curious to see where they're gonna go as we see more first chapter in the wild. I think one of the things with the first chapter bundles, by the way, Zach, that we've been seeing at Target is that there's a lot of reselling going on. I've been seeing a lot of offer up listings, a lot of people in the Facebook places, and people are starting to even sell them at the MSRP price again. I've been seeing people post them on the Facebook groups for like $55, $60, and people are just trying to like make their money back from the Black Friday sale, and I get the feeling there's not like a lot of them being open just yet. But cold foil Be Prepared are still pretty expensive. They did come down though. They used to be $30. Now you can get them for $22. Big Dream Cards has them 22, 21, lowest verified, and there's 44 listings. There was like 10 listings at one point. So plenty of listings to go around for this card, and they stick around $25 to $22 for your cold foil. Be Prepared. Some other cool cold foils are that I want to go over. Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. These are now $10. Check this out. Real Pop Studios, $8 with $2 shipping for a cold foil Cinderella Ballroom Sensation if you want to foil out your Amber Steel decks maybe. Pirate's Life. This is a big one throughout this week. Pirate's Life had like a crazy buyout. Shout out the person who commented, by the way, then said and said that pointed out the Pirate's Life foil situation. Zach, have you seen this throughout the week?
I definitely have, and I think it's a nice card to be explored more. I think when this card first made its way into the card pool, I think you and I both were like, "Oh, you play Ursula Deceiver of All, sing it twice, gain 4, they lose 4." I haven't seen many combinations of Ruby. Sorry, Haven't seen any combinations of Emerald Ruby come out in the word works yet, but cold foil prices are going crazy today. Yeah, sales of about $5 to $6. Some people are snagging them for cheaper than that, but this doesn't reflect how much shipping cost comes into play here. So keep in mind that it does say 50 cents, but they could have paid $5 shipping for it, right? And that means it's a $5 cold foil. So if you're not really looking to foil out your stuff, you can get normal versions for really cheap. They're definitely less than 20 cents, I would say. So consider that if you don't need to foil out your strategies. And again, it's not really seen as a four of, maybe like a one or two of at most. And only four listings available for cold foil. So if that's what you're looking to get today, make sure you shop right now. Legends Card Shop LLC has got the lowest price with $1.75 plus $1.27 shipping. That's $3. And if you need one, might as well buy it for $3. The next cold foil that we're going to talk about today is the Madam Mim Fox. This is a crazy price point, everyone. We're seeing a $26.75 price with $2 shipping, and it's back up to its $30 price point, which I think this card has always been up and down 25 range for the longest time. But Amethyst is coming out by far to be one of the strongest colors in the most recent set, and with the way the meta is shifting, you have this card to be able to replay your characters that stun the control decks, or to be able to answer the aggro answers. This card cleans up Daisy very well, and it's almost like a 3-cost action that does 4 damage, right? If it lives on the board, even better. It can sing friends on the other side. It can be able to manipulate a lot of ways to get rid of locations. You can use Crab and bounce the Crab to give this the extra challenging strength. Or you can use this in combination with Maui Hero to All to take out Queen's Castles and Libraries. I really, really like this card, and I'm glad to see that it's staying healthy. Again, everyone, if you guys didn't know, I kind of play this game and I foil out everything. So all these foils that I'm looking at, I own most of them, and I definitely feel like a lot of these cards are good and they deserve the prices they are, not just because that we're mentioning them here today. These cards are very strong.
Oh yeah, Mim. There's a reason why Mim Fox is this expensive. Like it's another like mandatory Amethyst card. And it's again I'm surprised that Genie is more expensive than Mim Fox because Mim Fox seems like more of a staple. That's kind of that I think just to compare the hype with like something that we know 1,000% is probably going to be played in most purple decks. Whereas like Genie, yeah, you are playing 4, maybe you're playing 3 of them, but it's that like hype that it's new. It's the fact that it's harder to find probably because it's new. And there's not as much product that's been opened up. This card is from set 2, so there's probably a lot more foil Madam M Foxes. But in general, it's so hard to pull good foils in Lorcana, man. So I'm not surprised why the best foils in Lorcana are this expensive. Because I don't think I've ever cracked open a foil Madam M Fox. That's crazy. We got the prices for the errata Bucky the Squirrel. Now Bucky is officially 3 cost. He has an ability now that says whenever you play a Floodborne character, if you used Shift to play them, each opponent chooses and discards a card. Man, if you guys did not play the Bucky format of Lorcana, you're just be thankful that you didn't play the Bucky format of Lorcana. That's all I gotta say. Be thankful you don't have to deal with the true power of this card. But if you want to sell this card because you got it at your LGS, they're selling for around $4, $2.35 with $1.27 shipping by TBH Games. Lowest verified for your Bucky erratas. Sisu the Emboldened Warrior. This is a cold foil we wanted to go over that is selling for more than $8 today. $10.04 is the lowest verified by Serotonin Needed. After that, it goes to $11.20 by Crazy Deals. So $10 to $11 for your cold foil Sisu's Emboldened Warriors. And these have kind of been sticking around this price since like last format. I feel like Sisu's always been kind of relevant. A lot of people are still playing the Flynn Sisu combo and Ruby Amethyst, but it's still pretty good to see that some of the meta staples in their foil versions are keeping up their prices, because this Sisu for the non-foil was like $6-7, and now you can find it for like $2-3 for the non-foil, right? But the $10 foil has stuck around its price for a very long time. Right, Zach?
The cold foil Sisu has actually gone more downward. I think this card was like $15 for one point in time, but it's seen some play in and out of Ruby Sapphire decks, but it's very much a staple in your standard mid-range control Ruby Amethyst bounce. But I'm curious to see if this card is going to see a lot of play later. There is a lot of strategies that empty out their hand and kind of just play up the top of their deck and get very aggressive. So that's not going to give the most utility out of this card, but it's an inkable character and it's got a lot of classifications: a hero, deity, and a dragon. And I'm very certain that we'll start seeing more support for these kind of classifications coming soon. And importantly, it's a Sisu, right? I think it has a lot of attachment to those that are fans of the Raya and the Last Dragon series. So this is an important card. I think we're not going to see it go away for a while, but as time goes on, we might see it being power crept completely out of the meta.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that this is the best target to shift your Floodborne Sisu on, like just indefinitely. I think that's like one of the reasons why I like it. And Raya the Last Dragon is a really good movie. That's one of the reasons why I enjoy it too. I can, if anything, I kind of want to play the Enchanted Sisu now. When when this card was being introduced to the Lorcana space in what was it? Was it Inklands or was it Ursula's Return? It was Ursula's Return, right? When we got the first Sisu, I remember thinking, I have not seen this movie yet. Like, I want to watch, like, and I almost felt like I am not, I shouldn't be allowed to play this set unless I watch this movie because this dragon looks cool. And I don't know, something about watching the movie, something about watching the movie before the set came out, and then unpacking like the Ursula's Return and being like, hey, look, we pulled Tuk Tuk, or look, Benja, or Sisu and stuff like that. It hit differently. So I think now I have somewhat of a little sentimental attachment to the Sisu, and I would love to play an Enchanted. But that's gonna be all for our Friday weekly market watch. Once again, good luck to everybody playing Continentals in Europe this weekend. Anybody playing card games this weekend. Looking forward to see what's gonna take home the first Lorcana Continental Championship, dude. LCQs today, so obviously Friday there's side events going on, and people are trying to qualify for the main event tomorrow. Main event on Saturday, and then Top Cut on Sunday. They're gonna be casting it, so be sure to tune in to those official Disney Lorcana casts and support the official stream and whatnot. But until then, stay tuned to Lorcana Goons. Zach, anything you want to say?
Make sure you guys are getting in the Discord. The link is down below as well. Follow all our social medias like Twitter, Instagram, and even Patreon, guys. We're on Patreon, and all of our YouTube members, shout outs to you guys. You guys are keeping us afloat. And don't forget to support the channel by shopping with our affiliated sponsors, Pristine Protection TCG, using code GOONS10 for all of your orders and saving 10% on those. Help support the channel. And we do still have some shirts available, guys. Limited supply, but we are looking to increase our volume there. So the more you order gives us more of a reason to do it.